Hi, parents. It's Deacon John Wilson here again with our second interview with a great Northridge student. Those of you who saw the one with Chloe probably enjoyed that. But here I'm with Marissa Huckaby, and I should probably disclose that she's the daughter of my staff assistant at West Angeles. You all may know Michelle Lewis, a lot of you do, but I thought Marissa's story would be really interesting for those who have been admitted to Northridge. They made their decisions last week. I thought that would be interesting to have her here. So, hi, Marissa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. And
Great.
you've been kind of, I think I've known about you for probably way before your mother started working for me.
Yes,
That's how I became aware of your mother, because of you. And of
right.
course, when I had the opening, I knew where she was. I
Yes.
knew what she was doing. But think back to your junior year of high school and kind of where you were and when you met us. Take me back to there. And I know you could talk forever about it, but try to give us a good synopsis of where you were then as a high school student. Then when you started thinking about college. Now I ask you some questions. Go ahead.
I started at LaSalle High School in Pasadena. It was a college prep private school. I was there on scholarship. And I knew that I wanted to go to a state college, but I wasn't sure which one. I was interested in San Jose State, San Francisco State. I was interested in Northridge, but my primary, my top choice was probably San Diego State. But I think things always work out because I actually didn't get accepted to San Diego, but I did get accepted to Northridge and San Marcos and a few of the other Cal States, but not my top choice. And so everything works out because Northridge ended up being such a great place for me, and I'm so happy that I chose Northridge.
Well, right. That's right. I forgot a lot of that. I'm glad I asked you that. And you got really better in math. Talk about your interaction with us and how you came to be aware of us, even individuals. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm so happy and grateful for Deacon, obviously, because I did struggle in math. And I went to the tutoring through Deacon that he offered, and it helped me so much because it really did. I'm sorry?
You work with Miss Pope? Shout
Yes.
out to Miss Pope. Hey, now.
Yes, Miss Pope's amazing too. So I did a lot of math tutoring, and that was because I had to take that placement test to see for Northridge where I was going to be placed for which course of math that I would be able to start. So I took the math placement. I ended up passing that in the summer before college, my freshman year. And I was able to go into Math 93, which is a freshman level course, but you do have to pass it your freshman year first semester to be able to then go on to like a true college level math. But I was happy because there was a lower one than that even.
Yeah, you could have done that. So I remember in those days.
Yeah, so I'm happy that I did the tutoring because it did really help me, and I was able to pass my Math 93 class the first time. And I just went on to more math courses, and it was great.
And when did you actually graduate from Northridge? Then I'll go backwards.
2019.
Wow. So you graduated before the pandemic.
Yes.
Very
And I did 5 years at Northridge. I went in 2014.
Right. That's right. And just want to let you know, you're below this. Usually it takes the 4.5 to 5. So don't even feel funny about that. That's
Yeah.
It's the 7, 8, 9 where you get into issues.
Yes.
Runs out and all that stuff. But let me ask you about when you started Northridge. So clearly you were on campus. And what was that like?
So I actually was at they were very new, the freshman dorms,
Yeah.
because they also have apartment style dorms as well. And they considered those a little bit more for the sophomores and juniors, but freshmen are allowed to stay in those as well. But I actually was in the newly built freshman dorms. I think they were just built the year prior. So those were great. And I think that as a freshman, if you're definitely consider staying on campus because it's such a great experience, but also consider staying in the freshman dorms because it's strictly for freshmen. And that way you kind of start to, hang out with your peers and see if you guys have the same classes and schedule. And I really
Where you
recommend
met,
those for
that
first
where you
year.
met most of the people you know?
Yes, most of the people I know, I met them in my freshman building.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that part. I'd be
Yes.
interested in knowing they're building a new freshman dorm right now, right near the other one somehow. I don't know how they did that. I haven't been there in a couple of years.
Yeah, I heard that. And that one's going to, and it's a nicer building as well. So I really recommend those.
Mhm, good. And what was it like in your classes? You went to a nice high school, but what was it like in the classes with dealing with the transition to college? How did it appear to you?
So the transition actually freshman year was really great because I did go to, I think, a school that prepped me for college. So I did really well my freshman year, and I think the transition was pretty smooth because a lot of times I feel like people consider that Northridge are going to have these huge classes, and that's not the case all the time. Sometimes I was in a larger lecture, but more times than not, I was in a classroom that had 25 to 30. So you really get to spend more time with that professor and kind of, hone in on with a smaller group, which is nice.
Now, you're one of my students that blew apart the myth that we hear that, well, you can go to CSUN, it'll take you 20 years to get out. And I never had a sense, we had a normal challenges, come on, but I never had a sense that you weren't going to do it. Uh, yeah, have you heard those rumors about CSUN? And are you?
I have, and it's funny because those are so untrue. And yeah, and me and all my friends, we got out in 4 to 5 years, 5 years max, and a lot of them actually got out in four. So it's possible, and the 6, 7, 8 years, that's just a myth. It is.
So I'm glad to hear you say that because my data indicates I've had 10 students since you that have hit Northridge. All of them are finished. There is one that didn't make it past first semester, but those issues were unrelated, I think, to Northridge totally. Those things there's something you just come up with a lot of students. It's just the way it happens. Along those lines, though, did you see some among you as you went through that didn't make it? And could you comment on that, on some of the reasons why if they didn't, why you might have seen some things? Kind of what happens when a student doesn't make it? I didn't even ask Chloe about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that, when a student doesn't make it, obviously there were a few drop-offs, and I think that you have to really stay grounded in your faith and your family, and just stay close to your family and friends and your support system.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of that was like personal issues that people were going through as to why they didn't make it because there's so much support at CSUN. I mean, even with me, I went to tutoring if I had to. It is
Nice.
free and available in so many lecture rooms and classrooms. So they have so much support for if you're struggling academically. So I feel as if the few that did drop off, they were a little bit more like personal issues.
Nice. And talking about the campus itself, did you go to stuff? Did you do anything? Did you
Yeah, it was so fun.
this is a Division I sports school. I just want to find out what you were thinking.
Yeah, so I did. I went to a few basketball games.
Yeah, that's
Like
what I want to hear.
Those are so fun. I'm just
Wait,
smiling thinking about the memories.
what's the nickname?
Oh, Matadors.
Matadors. That's right. That's right.
Yes, so we're Matadors. The basketball games are really fun. And we also have Big Show, which is like a large event on campus. They're having one of the LA artists blasts, I heard this
Oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah, so they get some pretty big names for Big Show. That's really fun. Everyone goes to that. They goes to CSUN. They've got a lot of fun things. We have the Student Rec Center, which is huge. It's a great like facility. It's like state of the art gym. It's brand new. Celebrities sometimes even go to our gym. It's such a beautiful facility. So there's so much to do on campus.
Wow. So when you commuted, did you try to get some time on campus still?
Yeah, I still had a
You ever like
couple.
weekend with people you knew there?
Yeah, I still had a couple friends that still lived on campus. So of course I would want to hang out with them and be on campus even when I commuted. And I am so happy that they lived on campus. That way I was still able to hang out with them and everything, even though I was commuting.
Nice, nice. Let's move over, talk a little about career, because you were a little unusual to me in that, in a very good way. You've always been a go-getter as far as getting work and found yourself working in places you and improved your network and you just knowing stuff. Talk a little, I know we could talk a lot about this one because I'm very interested in career right now. I'm interested in parallel things that students do while they're in college. And you're a typical situation that I wish I could get my students to be at. And so they just don't go to school and then get out and wonder why they don't find anything. Why don't you comment on that?
Yeah,
It
so I
was very organic with you too. You kind of on your own sort of, or maybe you didn't. Maybe somebody at school told you. I don't know. Go ahead, talk about it.
So I my major was business management as well. So our business program is great. It's accredited program. It's
Yes,
amazing. So
yes.
I really recommend if
Highly impacted right now, by the way. Not as much when you went, but it was. But it's real highly impacted and highly thought of. Go ahead.
yeah. And it's hard to get in as well if you're coming in. I actually came in undecided and then I transferred into the business school. But what was the question?
Yeah. So comment on how you got engaged in your
Oh, yes,
career. I don't
career.
want to tip off what it was because it's quite unusual, and you got in at a time that that industry was taking off, and even even due to the pandemic, I think it's still very important. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually started working my third year. So that third year, I was still living on campus and I got a job at Roy's Restaurant in Woodland Hills, being a hostess. So I would do that part time. And then I had school, obviously, and I was living on campus. It was a great situation. And then that next year, I was commuting and I got into hospitality. I was started working at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and that was great for networking. I met a lot of people that are high up in the food chain, you could say, and I definitely networked there. From there, I went to Barney's New York in Beverly Hills, the clothing
Yeah,
store.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I worked there as well, met a lot of people, got a lot of experience in hospitality as well. And then from there, I actually saw one of the people uh, that I met at Beverly Hills Hotel. She was at Barney's New York as well, and she is a celebrity, you could say, her and her husband. And so she was like, "You're so amazing. Can you be my personal assistant?"
That's what I remember.
And I, of course, said yes. So that has been such an amazing experience. I can't say because I signed an NDA, but
Right.
that was great. That was great. And I'm so glad if I didn't work at the Beverly Hills Hotel or Barney's New York, then I would have never met her. So and that's while I was in school. So
So even though that was also harvesting a part of you, growing the professional part of you that would set you up for, that I believe is setting you up for later stuff too.
Definitely.
The level you're on and where you're at in your maturity at your age, don't you feel it's setting you up for something in the future, or even?
Definitely. And I feel like all of that combined, because I was in business school focusing definitely in on my my core of the business classes at that time, mixed with, you know, that high level of hospitality, it really did set me up for everything that I'm doing now.
Nice. You want to talk a little about where you are now?
Yeah, so I'm actually taking some real estate classes. I'm hoping that
Yeah, that's not.
yeah, so I'm hoping that
Don't you think though that those things you did before will make you kind of like propel you to be good at it? Sort of. It's kind of hard to say it, but you know what I mean?
yes, yes, I definitely think so because I'm a networker. I love talking to people and you know, we're in sales and real estate. So you have to be able to talk to people, engage, network. And I feel like Northridge through the business school and my work experience in college has set me up, and you know, being a personal assistant for a celebrity, all of that has just rounded me into who I am now and being able to network and speak to people.
Wow. Okay. Now it's one thing I skipped that parents like to hear about it, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Talk about thinking about your dormitory experience. Talk about something good, bad, and ugly. Now, ugly means ugly, ugly means something that worked out, but it was a little tedious. So
Yeah, so I
in those areas, go ahead.
I loved my dorm experience. Like I would not trade it for the world. I did like commuting as well, but I wish I even would have stayed an extra year on campus because those are some of the best memories of my life. I really recommend that your students stay on campus. It's such a great experience, lifetime memories. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But a great thing was that I just loved being in the freshman dorms. I loved everything about that. We had a great RA, and I feel like in the freshman dorms, especially, your RA has a group setting every week. We met every single week, actually, the whole floor.
That's unique.
Yeah, the whole floor, and just had a like bonding time. And I feel like that really, I still talk to everyone on my floor. We'll check in from the freshman dorm. So that was one of the great things about that, just the overall experience of that. One of the not so great things. So I actually went into college with one of my very, very best friends, and we chose.
I think you're getting ready to do something here. Go ahead. And I'll comment afterwards. Go ahead. I feel
and we're still friends now. But we decided to also dorm together. And that turned out to be a little hectic.
Did you know that my advice, one of the advices I give to students is to not dorm with their best friends or people they know. I say don't dorm with anybody you know.
Deacon is 100% right on that. Yeah, it was not the smartest decision looking back because it got a little hectic. We did get into, you know, a few little disagreements. So I would say room with someone maybe that you don't know. And a lot of times that ends up being such a great experience. Like my neighbors on both sides of me, they roomed with people they didn't know, and they had a great experience doing that.
A little better, yeah. And think about it this way, you know, if you room with someone you don't know, like let's say you two are best friends when you came in, and you room with people you don't know, each of you. Now y'all know 4 people.
Right. Now
you know their roommate, you know them, you know.
Exactly.
By the way, the things we're talking about, some of you parents who have young men think that this conversation right here we're having, I see no difference with young men. It's the same thing. Don't think, well, mine's a boy and here's his best friend. It's the same thing. In fact, those disagreements tend to be sometimes a little violent. I've had that. You were surprised about that.
Ah.
I don't think you should room with people you know. Go ahead, continue. Any other thoughts about that or dorm experience?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend rooming with a good friend. That's great that if you're going to college with a friend, but don't room with them, room with somebody new. That opens you up to maybe their culture, how they grew up and their experiences, and it can really be something great.
Well, that's another side that I did not. I forgot that. I forget the things and why I do things because I'd like to see, like, if I have two, black. So this would be real. Two black students going to a majority white private school back east, even Marissa. I feel like they're going to put those black students with Asian or white students. If they do it twice to each one of them, that's a great experience.
Definitely, definitely.
Good experience for the white or the Asian person too.
Exactly.
Wow, black people don't all live like Compton.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
ghettos of Compton, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
we all not like running around the streets. Never mind.
Right. And I actually had the neighbor next to me, one was Hispanic and one was Asian. I mean, I met so many people and I still keep in contact with both of them. So
Get a lot of good food too.
yeah. Yes.
I remember for college. All right. Well, I tell you, Marissa, we're very, very proud of you at West State.
Thank you.
This will be a very good time we've had together. And she's going to make herself available. Just get a hold of me. I want to have a panel later on, but if you have questions specifically, parents, you know how to email me. And those of you who've seen this for the first time, click subscribe so you'll see my videos when I drop them. And or just get a hold of me if you want to hear more from Marissa or ask more about our program.
Yeah, I would love to answer any questions. And I would thank you, Deacon, for this. And Deacon's tutoring and mentor, he's overall just so amazing. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Marissa, and we appreciate you being here today, okay?